My name is Sophie Amundsen. My journey into the Western philosophical world began when I was just 14. School, homework, a bit of boredom, a bit of imagination. That was my entire world. But then one day, everything turned upside down. It was an ordinary day. On my way back from the school, I opened the mailbox. There was a plain white envelope inside. No stamp, no sender's name, just my name. Curious, I opened it. Inside was a single question: Who are you? At first, I laughed. What a silly question. I am Sophie, a human, a girl. But then I paused and thought, is that all there is to me? That evening, I stood before the mirror in my room, trying to look at myself as though seeking the answer to that question. Then I noticed, for a moment, my pupils moved differently than that the motion of my own eyes. I was stunned. Could my reflection move without my permission? It wasn't an illusion, it was a sign. I was in a world crafted by someone else. Am I defined only by my name? Am I just what the world says I am, or am I something more? The very next day, another envelope arrived. This time, the question was different. Where did the world came from? Now I was completely hooked. These questions were not the part of my school curriculum. They were something else. Bigger questions, the kind even adults ignore. I felt like I was being pulled by an invisible thread, one that was dragging me, forcing me to think. And then one day I received my first philosophy lesson, pages typed on a typewriter, informing me that I was now a part of a philosophical course. My teacher's name was Alberto Knox. I could not see him, but he was teaching me philosophy through letters. He said, "The one who asks questions is truly human. The one who blindly accepts answers lives a life unexamined." And so began my philosophical journey, a journey through time where I met great thinkers and eventually confronted a truth that shook my very existence. My teacher took me to Greece, not in reality but in thought. I discovered that 2500 years ago people were asking the same questions I was asking today. Thales, the great philosopher, said everything is made of water. Heraclitus said everything changes, whereas Socrates says, I know that I know nothing and that is my strength. I started asking myself, can I think like Socrates? Have I blindly believed whatever is written in the books? Plato gave an allegory, the allegory of cave, where people are trapped inside a cave, mistakenly shadows for reality. I realize I might be in a similar cave: school, teachers, TV, religion, and society all showing me shadows, and I was accepting them as the truth. But Alberto said, step out of the cave, Sophie, and I saw reality isn't just what is visible, thought is its own world. Alberto told me that after the golden age of Greece ended, the world fell into a dark religious age, and I began to wonder, should we not be allowed to question even the God? St. Augustine said, time was created by the God, and God exists outside of time. Whereas St. Thomas Aquinas said, God can be known through the reason, but ultimately we must take a leap of faith. For the first time, I felt sometimes thought are silence simply because they are uncomfortable. I felt like my thinking too was under watch, as if an invisible force was saying, only think what is allowed. Then I arrived at the Renaissance, a time where humanity began to see itself anew. Artists celebrate the beauty of the human form, and astronomers challenges the sky. Descartes said, I think, therefore I am. His doubt became his identity. I thought, can I begin knowing myself through doubt? Spinoza said, God and the nature are not separate, but one and the same. He taught me that when I look at the flowers or listen to the rivers, I am speaking with the God. Next, I met the British empiricist John Locke, David Hume, and later Immanuel Kant. Locke said, "The mind is a blank slate, experience is the pen." Hume says, "Can I prove that I exist, or am I merely a bundle of experiences?" I became confused. If everything is subject to doubt, what can I trust? Kant say we don't see the world as it is, but as our mind shape it. When I met Kant, my eyes opened. He said, "Sophie, don't change the world. First change your lens. Then look again." Then something strange started happening. One day I looked into the dresser mirror. I was there, but my eyes blinked late, as if I was seeing myself through someone else's eyes. Then I began receiving letters, but now they were addressed not to me but to a girl named Hilde Moller-Neg. Who was Hilde? Was I reading letters meant for her from her father? Was I living in someone else's world? One day, Alberto called me for the first time face to face. He was serious, as if about to reveal something deep. He said, "Sophie, it's time you know you are a fictional character. Someone is writing you. Your existence is made of words. You are a part of a story being written by Hilde's father." It felt like the ground vanishes beneath me. I wanted to scream, "No, I am real. I think, I feel, and I question." But then the words got stuck in my throat. I asked myself, if I am an imaginary, then who is asking these questions? Can imagination itself become conscious? That night I could not sleep. The wall of my room, on which I had hung pictures for years, now felt like paper, as if someone could erase them at any moment. I looked out at the window and wondered, is this tree for real, or is it imagined by the author too? My book, my bed, my mother, all were inside a story. And me, was I just someone's imagination, or could I truly think and feel? I asked Alberto, if I'm not real, what can I do? He smiled and said, "You can think," and thought is the power by which even imagination can challenge reality. We decided we would escape the author's story. How? Through imagination, through thought, or through rebellion. Alberto reminded me of all the philosophies I had learned. Socrates said the courage to question, Plato, the will to leave the cave. Kant, the limit of consciousness, Hume, the importance of doubt, and Descartes, I think, therefore I am. With these ideas as weapon, we were ready to break the author's illusion. Suddenly, Hilde's name began appearing in every letter. Then one day I found a book. Its title was Sophie's World, author Major Albert Neg, and the first sentence read, "One day Sophie Amundsen received a letter. Who are you?" I was reading my own story, every word, every sentence a reflection of my life. And then I saw someone was reading this story, a girl, another soul. Hilde. She wasn't me, but I was in her story. Alberto and I made a plan. We would defy the author's imagination. We began doing everything that wasn't written in the story, broke the rules of time, changed the settings of detail, spoke outside the dialogue, and then we quietly vanished. The next sentence of the story was to be written, but we were not longer part of it. We arrive at a new place, a place without time, without words, and without pages, but with thought, and that thought made us real. Now I am in a place where there is no author, no reader. This place exists between the imagination and the reality. I am here, Alberto is too, and maybe so are you. Now I understand, in truth, every human is a part of someone's story, but the moment you begin writing, you became the author. I still ask the question, I still think. And whenever a child opens a letter somewhere and finds the word, "Who are you?" know this, that's me, Sophie, alive in every thinking soul.